Guys, if you could all take a seat, we'll start the proceedings. So welcome everybody to the 2019 AGM for IAA. Just the agenda is there, you can read it. So chair report for this year. So thank you to everyone who served on the board this year. So the current board is on this list here, and there's been a few people who've also been on it that have passed on. So our achievements for this year was some improved governance work that's been done, so continued work with the associations forum completing their recommended rule changes. An introduction of director training, making sure that our team are actually fully trained and understand their obligations while they're sitting on the board. And the development of the IAA board charter, so a series of rules and regulations around how we make decisions. Strategic direction, so we've spent a reasonable amount of time working on our strategic plan as well, making sure there's an actual solid business plan with metrics and with some accountability wrapped around that for our team as well. Strategic communications planning, so we've spent some time with an external marketing company to make sure we have clear messaging, and the new work that we're about to start doing over the next 12 to 18 months is able to be communicated to all members well. There's a new internal structure, so we're welcoming 2 general managers looking after the association and our membership, as well as the actual technical side of the business in the peering exchange. Some improved reporting as well, so providing high-level monthly reporting. We have detailed budgets and a business plan, so it means that our team can actually operate themselves with delegated responsibility as well as also accountability wrapped around that. And that's it, so up to Kelly.
Thank you all for coming. It's great to be part of the association and watching the business grow. Working with the board, it's been great to get some clear direction on where the association is heading. So it's been fantastic to get some of those things locked down and in writing. We've got increased internal resources. In the past 12 months, we've doubled our headcount of FTE, so we've now got extra staff to help us deliver the programs that we're hoping to implement this year. We're in a strong cash position. The association is very fortunate to have a strong revenue stream, and that means that we're going to be able to do some great things for our members in the year ahead. 2019 saw us introduce a regular social event program, which was a great opportunity for our board to get in front of members and have face-to-face chats. We hope to improve on that going into 2020 and add more to our event program. We're continuing to support the internet community. We've got a long history with Peering DB, which is a great resource for our technical members, and also happy to be back supporting AusNog again this year. With Apricot coming back for its 25th anniversary conference, it's great to have the opportunity to host Apricot, and we'll be bringing some new programs in line with that. We're also pleased to keep working with the New Zealand Internet Exchange. We help provide services there in New Zealand, and we've just re-signed a new 2-year agreement to keep continuing working with them. Probably the most exciting thing for me is our future plans. The last 6 months has been a lot of time working in getting our internal structures working properly. We're currently working on a new CRM, which is going to give us a better way to communicate and engage with our members. We'll be launching a new website to help have clearer communications to our members, and our 2020 event program is going to present more content-based events to layer on top of our social networking. Some exclusive announcements today. This is some of the plans that have been happening behind the scenes, and these are the things that you can hear more about in the coming months. We're going to have lots of programs connected to Apricot. One of the important things for this conference is for us to get our members engaging with the conference and able to attend. So you'll see some membership offers and some grant programs to help people travel to Melbourne to come and attend that conference. We're going to commence a program of consultation with our members to overhaul the IAA Code of Conduct. It's not very long at the moment, but we're going to engage with members so that that's something all our members can get behind. We're very soon about to launch some free policy workshops to help members learn more about the industry. We're also in the pipeline of working on establishing an IAA advisory council, and we're looking to launch our own annual conference as well. So over the coming months, make sure you sign up to the newsletter so you can keep across all those exciting plans. I'll now hand over to Nathan, our Secretary.
Thanks everyone for coming. I'll be very brief as everyone's got through most of my things. So everyone should have seen the audited financials. It's been a very good year. Income of 1.6 million, which is up substantially on previous years. A quite nice surplus as well. Significant cash balance left in the bank, which we're going to use on all the projects that Kelly talked about. So Apricot, the events that we've started doing monthly, and there's a whole lot of other things that Terry will talk about as well that money is going to go into. Next year, I just have to say that we're going to use the same auditor that we've used this year and previous years. We've changed the staff member at that auditor that does the actual audit, which is in line with what we need to do. The other thing is special resolutions that some people have voted on already or people will be voting on today. It's implementing final changes and just following up on things that we've been changing to do good governance. Special resolutions, IAA Board proposes a number of additional changes that everyone's read. The main proposed changes are for staff to not be on the board, amendment to the length of terms for board members, board elections to be conducted by postal voting so that we can avoid doing things that we do today. We'll use a proper voting system, a certified voting system, and just a whole lot of processes to make things easier. I won't go through the individual changes as everyone had them. They're on the voting ballot and they're on the documents we got here. There was a slight issue with one of the changes that was pointed out today. It was just lawyer's wording, so we'll put that back to the lawyer, and if that change needs to be removed, we'll do that, and we'll notify members that that change was removed because there was some ambiguity in the wording. These are just all the individual changes. The change that we were not sure about is number 12. It was pointed out that it's making a change to Rule 5010, but in the current constitution it appears that 5010 doesn't exist. Which is fundamentally a bit of an issue, but it could just be that, yeah, we're not quite sure, so we need to query that. But for anyone that voted on that change, depending on what the lawyer says, yeah, we will likely invalidate that change because it's just not appropriate, and come back to it next time. All right, board elections, the fun bit. So we have one professional and 5 corporates in total, with the difference of the term for 1 and 2 years, and that's come up because of people that have resigned from the board since the last AGM. For the professional members, we have Matthew and Craig. Matthew's here, Craig's here as well. And for the corporate members, I won't go through them all, but that's who they are. All right, so for the people who haven't voted, if you could go and grab a voting slip from the girls outside, and we'll break for a few minutes and we'll add up those votes and then come back.
Is there anyone who hasn't voted?
If there's any other ballots that need to come back. Is there any ballots left to be handed back?
Nope.
No?
That's easy.
Ladies and gentlemen, how are we tonight? That's good. So I actually started with the association on May 6th, so I've basically had wet feet for the last 4 months, now probably month 5 this week. I had a few interesting tasks to do in the first few months. One was a systems review, and that highlighted some needs for certain changes to be made in systems in general in the association. So one of the projects that was stalled initially was an Office 365 deployment, which we've completed. So that's made life a lot easier for us to actually collaborate with each other. We've also went shopping for a CRM, and you can see the magic word up there, Salesforce. So yes, we are now a Salesforce evangelist / user, because apparently when you buy Salesforce, you join a cult. You don't actually buy a CRM, you join the cult. So yeah, that's been done. I can see Tim Raphael here in the audience. Tim started with us a rather large amount of work several years ago doing automation on the IX. Now that's this year has progressed significantly. Those of you who actually keep their AS sets up to date online, we actually automate ASN filters now for you. You can get onto a beta, just drop a quick email to peering@ix.asn.au and say, hey, I'd like my AS set filter automatically updated. And next one wasn't going to be the MAC address changes. Still, it got pushed down the list again. But the next one is actually automating LOAs. So now that we have the DMARCs in the database, we are looking at actually generating an LOA automatically out of the portal. So the minute you order your port, a couple of minutes later, we plan to send you a PDF saying you're authorised to cross-connect to this landing point, and you can send it off to your colo provider and order a cross-connect to that straight away. As you can see, we're still using our Jira stack, and we're probably going to hang on to that for the next 12 months or so while we keep implementing what we call phase 1 of the CRM. That also means we have our bespoke portal, which you're all quite familiar with, but you may have also noticed that yesterday we deployed a version 2 of part of the portal, which makes the services display a lot cleaner and a lot more logical. And that includes some of the new interesting things we're putting in the background, like knowing what your DMARC is, knowing what your LOA should look like, and eventually tying that into event-driven triggers in the background so that when you do order a port or you order a VLL, if you've got a live port for that to be provisioned on, the provisioning will happen automatically. So that's, again, part of our automation agenda, is to get to the point where you don't need to tell us to do anything, you just tell the portal and it gets done for you straight away. As far as a overview on our data strategy is concerned, one thing that we've been working hard on is cleaning up our internal data on what we have on the network. I can tell you how hard it is to automate anything if your database doesn't look like your network or vice versa. So it makes things very difficult. That means having a very good data model. You can see Marcus down the back hiding. Everyone have a look at Marcus. He's very introverted. Give him a bit of discomfort there. Good. So Marcus is helping us make sure that data model reflects the network and vice versa. And Nick and him have been cleaning up the data again, up until, you know, Tim was working for us up until when? 3 weeks ago now? 4 weeks ago? Yeah, 6 weeks ago. So we've been doing a lot of work to actually make sure that that's good, clean data. So it's now more or less done to a certain extent. We now are filling out the model in greater detail so we can keep modelling the network better. And of course, that means that, as I said, last point there, it all comes down to running the network very, very well for you. Remember, you guys are members, and for us, members means you're not just clients, you're also our owners. So we take the philosophy that if we're doing the right thing by you guys, you'll keep coming back and give us your money. So very happy with that. So a quick overview of member services. Obviously, by the way, are you all aware we do peering? just making sure, because I keep walking into rooms to talk about this, and someone goes, "What's peering?" So yeah, it gets rather interesting. Did you know you can be in New South Wales and peer in Perth if you wanted to? So you're aware of that. Do you know if you've got a port in Perth and a port in Melbourne, you can get a VLAN tag between them and they can talk to each other? So you're geez, you guys are pretty easy to sell to, aren't you? So, did you know you can get peering port now on a VLAN tag for your downstream clients? This is new, yes. So this is something that's been requested by not just the membership, but a few international telcos who've been knocking on our door recently. What they want to do is they want to interconnect with IX in various places and say to us, hey, I've got a client in the UK, or I've got a client in Japan, and they'd like to peer in Australia, but you're connected to me, blah, blah, blah. So virtual peering points will go live at some stage in the next quarter. And if you do have downstream clients who want to peer, but they're quite not getting past the usual level of service, or the 10 gig watermark as we call it, then start looking at using VPP to get them online with us. As usual, they need their own ASN, they need their own address space. They can advertise your address space, but make sure you get an agreement with them for that. We have AWS in the room. Hello, Jocelyn. So as hopefully you're aware that we can sell you VPCs off the network into AWS, and then after that we've just been approved to have ExpressRoute connected in Sydney with Microsoft. They're going to trial that, and then they're hoping to get us to do Perth and a few other sites as well, and Auckland when it comes up. Okay. And of course, as Dave knows, we've got Axon available as well in all the NextDC sites. We're still doing co-location in QV1. You're probably aware that we actually ran some dark fibre between S1 and S2. That is yet to be completed because S2 is yet to go live and be completed, but that will be available. Essentially, that is just a long lining. Whatever is an S1 will become available on S2 on the IRs there. So I think the first 144 calls will be terminated straight back into the rack in S1. So if you're planning on being S2, we should be available on day one in S2, which is unlikely for us in most cases, because normally we wait a few months or a few years before we go onto a new DC. One other thing that I have been working on, which I'm hoping to bump up more traction on soon, is Burst. Burst is this volunteer shellbox sitting over in Perth that no one ever seems to know about, and just needs some love and attention. So if you have anyone who loves to be playing around with command line Linux and wants some experience, we've got some opportunities to actually help us run Burst. Apparently we also have some mirrors on network in Sydney, which need some love and attention. If you want to have a chat with Ben Babbage at some stage and just let him know that you're willing to help him out with that, that'd be great. Now this is our internal version of our map. You've probably seen a different report with a slightly different setup. As you can see, we've got rings in every capital city now. Nick today and yesterday was actually finalising the multiple 40 gig ring in Melbourne, so that's up and running now. He has to go and lag those all together in the next couple of weeks to get them resilient. Of course, New South Wales, as you're aware, we have a really nice smart optics setup in Sydney. That's multiple 100 gig wavelengths between the main data centres on that ring, so that makes that very robust. We've more or less done something very similar in Queensland and of course Western Australia and South Australia. Queensland has, I think, 1 by 40 isn't it, at the moment on the ring, hopefully more later on. And then our mates over in New Zealand have recently completed their own 100 gig project, and their ring between the 3 data centres, between Focus and MDR and 220 Queen is all now 100 gig. Of course, the Kiwis have a 10 gig link from Auckland over to Sydney, and as you can see, all the grey here, they're all 10 gig waves with either Telstra or Focus. So there is quite a bit of capacity sitting there at the moment. We are planning to buy more. One of the new sites that we're doing is C1 in Canberra, getting C1 up and running in the next couple of weeks with gear. We've got our friends at Google and Facebook and a few other CDNs gearing up to come in there with us as well to make it worth our while. We also think, what have we got there? Oh yeah, Tas. So the next one that's in planning is Tasmania. I know we've got the Tasmanic guys here somewhere. Yeah, good, cool. So yeah, the board's going to get that proposal in the next couple of weeks to go through, and then we actually have selected 2 DCs in Hobart. Both are 4224 facilities, Derwent Park and Cambridge. They've offered us dark fibre, we've got some free space in one of them and everything, so we're pursuing that. The other good news is we've had an agreement struck recently with Netflix, so we'll actually be able to put some Netflix cache in Hobart with that. So that will really make that a big value add. Of course, we'll also bring Google and Facebook and anyone else who supplies appliances with that. Those of you who know and love Duty Street there in Sydney, it's a single point of failure on that link, so we're actually going to get Vocus to provide us with an extra diverse path out of there so that we can make sure that that 40 gig doesn't fail and take Duty Street offline. There's actually quite a few people in Duty Street, so we don't want them isolated if there's a failure in that main link, so we're getting that going. Those of you who are having a nice time using free services in South Australia, we are planning to go commercial in South Australia at some stage. And I thought I would give you guys fair warning today that one of the big R words on my PD is revenue. So SAIX is going to go commercial next year and we're going to start sending out bills. Don't be terribly shocked when we ask you for money. Okay, good. Oh, the faces of someone smiling. No, okay. Yeah. Oh, and Macquarie Telecom anteed up recently in a big way. So we're going to be able to put IC2 and the new IC3 when it's built online, and we're talking to them about IC4 too. I don't know if you've done any work with them in Canberra, but it'd be good to get the bunker online as well. So that's been a big turnaround. Up until now, no one's had much traction with them, so that's good progress. Oh, good. Yeah, so we have a metrics platform based on Grafana, metrics.ix.asn.au. There's plenty of public data there, so I'm not going to sit down and go through gobs and gobs of data because there's a lot of it there. It's worth having a little look through it, but that's essentially what the IX was doing last year. It starts at peaks at 300, ends up at peaks over 400, so that was a good growth year when you think about it. But I have to say, I'm a bit disappointed that we've had some nice peaks there, but they've come and gone. So we're going to be working hard on getting that extra 100 gig or more onto the IX by the end of the year. We have a few new partners coming online who will help us with that in a big way. So, number of member ports in each state. You'd be surprised to know that there's 212 ports in New South Wales IX. That's a very big IX. The total number of members, as you know, we've got 300 corporate members, but somehow we've managed to sell them collectively nearly double that many ports. So that's good news. It means that nearly all of our members in some way have bought a second service from us on average, which is great. From a marketing standpoint, if you can sell them a second service, you can sell them a third one, a fourth one. So yeah, it bodes well for the sales prospects. I think this is an old aggregate graph that shows growth from 2014 up to 2018. The takeaway here is we used to be growing really quickly, but in the last 12 months we haven't grown that much. So what we're going to be doing is pulling the finger out on that in a big way. Now, Jason, how's it going? Good.
Well done. Really good.
Okay, the results are in. Thank you to everyone that voted. Our two-year corporate board seats are going to Darryl Collins and Chris Korchak. Sorry. There's 3
1-year appointments will be Jay Binks, Nathan Brookfield, and David Hooton. The professional appointment is going to Matt McDonough. And all the special resolutions passed, so nothing got knocked back, I guess. So thank you everyone for voting, and that's it. Congratulations.
So that brings the formal component of this evening to a close. I understand a couple of people might have some questions that they'd like to ask. If not, that'll be the end of it. Thanks guys, have a good night, and there's some drinks. Cool.
The GMs that were promoted or appointed during the year,
Yep.
why were they promoted to the market?
Sorry?
The positions weren't publicly advertised, is there a reason for that?
So the process we went through when we were looking for a CEO, it evolved pretty rapidly during that process. But what we wound up finding in the end was what we were looking for was not going to come to us within a budget that we would have been able to stand up here and look you guys in the eye and say we'd be comfortable with. It was going to require more money than we thought would work. We didn't go back out to market because as a part of that process, we happened to find several very good candidates that were basically putting their names up. So we adjusted the roles instead. We already had Kelly inside the association. She was running it very well, and Terry's name was basically became the best option for us at that point in time. So it wasn't anything other than the fact that we had already found people that fit the roles quite well, like during that CEO search process. Okay.
And why did the association feel the need to specifically detail the legal fees in 2 cases, just over the rest?
Anything which is a significant charge inside our legal fees, we've gone out and actually tried to be as transparent as we can, just to make sure that customers and members understand what we're doing. That's all. Cool. Any other questions? Hey.
Should be an easy one. How many affiliate members do we have these days?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
Kelly?
7.
7.
And then most of the government departments like TAFE and that sort of stuff.
people like Waycan.
Yeah, we do have people ask all the time and apply for it, but they don't fit into the requirements of the association for affiliates, so we push back and they usually sign up as corporates.
Anyone else? Awesome. In that case, go outside and enjoy a drink. Thanks, guys. See you later.